about to do here is stock some additional forage in this lake, Pond, and we've got 10,000 intermediate copper-nosed bluegill and 5,000 intermediate size red ear shell cracker.
All right, what is there anything you have to do special to prepare for this to happen?
No, sir. Water temperature should be very close. I've got a dissolved oxygen meter here. Just going to check it just to be safe. Make sure everything's okay with the temps and the oxygen, and should be quick and dirty.
All right. Well, we're going to follow you then.
Yes, sir.
If you look around, Chris, we've also got a cormorant problem.
Yes, sir.
I mean, are these fish going to be able to outdistance them? I mean, what's y'all's? I know we have a lot of threadfin shad out here, but as far as cormorant, what do y'all see that being as far as other ponds as well?
On a pond this size, depending on the numbers, I mean, they are an extreme predator. They can take 1.5 pounds of fish per day per bird. They do focus a lot on the shad. These fish should find some structure. Probably won't get preyed on as heavy until they get a little bit bigger. Again, hopefully we can get some numbers going with the spawns and outrun that predation also. Legally, there's nothing you can do with the cormorants other than, you know, a slight harassment here or there. Just be on the lake more and more. That's about all you can do. Just to make sure it's at a decent enough level. I didn't have a concern that it would be, but it's always better to double check. We're looking at around 13 right there, which is great, especially with it being a little bit cloudy. Danger zone's down around the 1.5 to 2 when you start looking towards an oxygen problem. So we're good on that. Water temperature's around 58. My tanks are around 56, so we should be great.
What are we looking at as far as a temp for optimum for spawn to occur? When do y'all see that happen?
Generally around 75 to 80 degrees is when they'll start to get their first spawn. A lot of it has to do with the first moon, first new moon, and etc. Now the bluegill, once they start spawning, basically they're going to spawn every 30 to 35 days, all the way up until October, depending on the weather, water temperature, obviously. The shell cracker, they will only going to spawn about once a year, but it may be a delayed spawn where you may see spawning for up to a month at one time. Should get a good healthy spawn, just not putting the numbers that the bluegill will be.
Right.
My understanding, y'all get a heck of a phytoplankton bloom on here, and that's going to also shade out that pond bottom to prevent any more invasive weeds from coming up. So we'll try to get some fish in here. Those are your intermediate copper nose.
That's our babies, huh?
And that's them.
Yeah, healthy and kicking. Look at them. See, that's great.
We'll drop a sample in there just to make sure they're going to do right. I'm confident. Oh yeah. By going with this size, they are sexually mature. So with the first spawn, they will be spawning just as a true adult would. That's going to help extreme amount. Instead of putting fingerlings, we like to go with the intermediates. Just you've already got a bass population out there. So if we went with the smaller fish, they're obviously going to get hammered a lot faster. The goal here is to reestablish the forage population, just to get back from your fish kill.
Right. And we went with copper nose. You think that was the way to go for this pond being as shallow and as hot as it gets? That's what we were looking at temperature wise.
Yes, sir. That's really all we stock unless we have a special request for a common. The copper nose are extremely aggressive. They're great for feed, great to catch, grow fast, and really spawn well. And they'll grow fast.
I mean, it's one of everybody's favorites right there.
It is. Yes, I agree. They just, you know, fun to catch, grow fast. They just don't spawn as heavily when you're trying to establish a forage population. More from an angler's point of view, something to do. telling him with these smaller valves, all the fish tend to fight the current. You'll notice they're all facing back.
Yeah.
So upstream.
Yeah.
I like that. That means it's hot,
That is cool.
overflowing. See, how's the duck hunting been this year? I like how that does. It just spreads them out all over. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Gonna be shell cracker coming out, huh?
Hopefully they cooperate like the rest of them.
They ain't gonna come out there in the pipe yet. They got gone, didn't they?
Yeah, not much mortality at all.
Is this a good time to put them in, Chris, as far as the year? I mean, when is a good time to stock?
Right now, this is an excellent time for bluegill. If you're going with shad later on in the spring, early summer, it needs to be a little bit warmer. From what AJ said, you guys have tons of shad, so bass are going to be hitting on those shad right now. As soon as they start spawning, they'll be on those to give these guys a chance to get a couple good spawns off and hopefully get you back in balance. I mean, we stock bass in ponds, adult bass, most any time of the year. If they're fingerlings, it's going to be around June. If you're talking adults, we can transfer those most any time of the year. What we're probably wanting to do here, without conferring with AJ, is try to get a spawn or two off with these guys before adding any more predators. You can be a little forage heavy, you don't want to be predator heavy.
That was going to be my question: is will we get into a situation where we may not need to add bass?
Possibility. Again, if through a shocking evaluation, that will let us know. You know, I mean, it gives us an idea on what's out there, but the more we can look at what's going on, that's going to give us a better precedent on what we can recommend to you guys. But by all means, catch as many fish as you want to. Just I would release. As far as the bluegill, shellcracker go, there's no biological reason to pull any of those out. You know, if you want a handful to eat here and there, but I would definitely keep that harvest very limited. I mean, obviously we just restocked 10,000 fish here, 15,000 fish, so we want those guys happy and spawning. As far as the bass numbers go, probably wait till they spawn this spring and see what they're looking like after that. And it may come to a point where we don't need to stock any additional adults.
There's catfish in here now, so what effect do they have on the rest of the
Just
stock?
another predator. You can have X amount of predators per acre, whether it's 10 catfish, 5 bass, 10 strike. You know, it's all a poundage per acre on what you can hold. The more predators you have, obviously the more forage you're going to need. Just treat them as another predator. If you guys like catching catfish, if you like eating catfish, I'd pull them out as best you can.
That's what
The old saying is, if a fish gets eaten by a turtle, he deserved it. They're not a voracious predator by any means. If you had thousands and thousands and thousands out here, yes, they would eat some of your forage, but slow moving as they are and the little bit of food they need, it's not anything consequential on your predators. You're not going to have a lot of fish living down below the thermocline. You're probably, in the heat of the summer, all your fish are going to be in the 3-4 foot range. It's always good to have a diverse amount of fish out there. That way They got shad to eat on this time of year. They got bluegill to eat on this time of year. So you don't want all your pressure on one species of forage. You got some different types of feed, higher protein feed if you need to. It'll help them grow fast, it'll keep them healthy, and it also concentrate fish for kids and stuff like that. If you had some residents that are here all the time and just want to watch fish feed, these coppernose, I mean, they'll light the water on fire when they're feeding on those feeders. Even if you got some regulars that they can walk out with a coffee can of feed every now and then, it's definitely not gonna hurt.